Hey, 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 we are here. Happy Wednesday. I'm Monica Henderson, and I am your host for the show of MinkLife Motivation Live today. And we are this is a very, very special show for us today. We are really going to be tapping into uh, the topic today, but today is our anniversary show as we've been doing this show for an entire year. I know it seems weird for me to even say it out my mouth that we've been in this pandemic and we've been doing these things virtually this way. But yes, it's happening. And today we're going to be talking all about how to develop your brand story. And to help me craft this conversation today, we are going to have my co-host, of course. So we have Andrea Gewirtz, who is the Wellness Thrive strategist at Wellbeing and Worth. She is also a MinkLife Motivation Master Trainer and the Dean of, I'm going to add to this, the Dean of MinkLife University and U University. Andrea, hey girl, hey.
Hey. You and this. How are you guys? I can't believe it's been a year.
It's been
Can I just say, I can't believe it.
It's been a year and it's been a ride. And I don't think I did makeup that will not allow me to cry. So it's just going to get ugly today, y'all. All right. So next we have Peggy MacArthur back from honeymooning to grace us today. She is the owner and photographer of Headshots by Peggy, a headshot strategist, and the MinkLife Motivation trainer for the brand builder. Peggy, so happy to be back in your space.
I am so excited to be here for the year anniversary. I haven't co-hosted for a year, but I've been watching the show for a year, It's exciting.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And joining us today is our very first guest, actually, and she's our guest co-host today. And it's Irina Strudina. She is the founder of Smart Move 360, a health strategist, and also the MinkLife Motivation Trainer for the Life Calibrator. I am just so stoked to be here with all of you. But last but not least, we have you. That is you on the couch, who is our other co-host, and we're so happy to have you here with us. So don't forget to chime in the chats. Hashtag what's up, whatever it is. Let us know what you're thinking. Chime in, and we will pull your comments in because you are a part of the show. And so let's kind of dive in today, shall we? So as we are kind of in this anniversary of it all, we have come a really long way. One, I don't actually get the crazy jitters when I started anymore. I feel super comfortable and confident in talking to my friends, and we're just hanging out and doing good things. But where we are now is kind of so far from where we came. So, like, if you guys can all kind of think back to last September, where were you in your life and business? What was happening in September? Think about that for a second. I know for me, last September, I was actually creating out of my bedroom. Oh, yay, we have someone from the UK. Welcome. Oh, yeah. We got people chiming in for us already. But I was in my bedroom, and we had already done a few conferences, and this was really kind of for me the moment that I had to actually show up outwardly in the world, and I was terrified. So that first episode, which we previewed last week, I was so freaking nervous, and so that is my vivid memory of September of last year. But Irina, what about you? What were you doing September of last year besides coming on our very first show?
Well, for me, it was just the beginning to understanding what I am actually doing. And even though I had claimed being health strategist for some time before that, I registered my company in August. So it was just the beginning, just the foundation, digging the hole for foundation, not really even putting foundation in place. So it was interesting time. And it was my time between two appearances on MinkLife conferences. So it was just touching the water, seeing what is going on.
Oh yeah. Andrea, what about you?
Well, let's see. We had ambitiously started these conferences. And I was in my second or third iteration of my new class that came out because of COVID. Yeah, it was a busy time. So you were like, let's do like a radio show, but not on the radio. And my radio brain was like, but we're not on the radio. And so there I was going, sure, why not? Because what else did I have better to do? And we were just having fun creating and seeing where we'd land. And yeah, and we're still doing it, but I think we have insight. So now we're like, maybe it should be this way, that way. Before it was just do it. I was on a podcast yesterday about how life unraveled or sort of spiraled because of COVID last year, and how many. And this woman's interviewing me, and I realized, wow, I did a lot last year. And she's like, you look a little surprised. Oh, I just don't think I keep track. And two people are like, so then how did that happen? And I'm like, this happened, this happened. And she's like, oh, you didn't mention that before. I was like, oh, I forgot. And she's kind of like, what the heck, lady? I was like, because it was just, we were busy creating and having a blast and building a brand story. And a fact, I mean, it's so apropos that that's the topic for today.
Oh
It
yeah.
kind of gave me goosebumps when I saw, oh, today's topic is say what? So pretty fun, pretty amazing.
So, Peggy, what about you? What were you up to this time last year?
I think I was just trying to figure out how I could safely take headshots. Like consulting was happening kind of through the workshops, but I hadn't, like, I was just doing that with you. That wasn't my thing. That was just like, okay, well, I'm going to do this little thing with Monica. And, that's not really my thing. And then, it wasn't even a year ago. I was not calling myself a headshot strategist a year ago. It was like 4, 5, 6 months ago. Like it was really new. When it was like, wait a minute, I do this. This is actually what I do. I should actually do it. And it just kind of unfolded. But yeah, last year at this time, I was feeling like I was feeling really lost because the pandemic was not letting up. I was not safely able to have clients in my studio on a regular basis. And there was no vaccine yet. There was no way to, make anyone feel at ease to come into the studio. And clearly, when you get in your headshots, you can't wear a mask. I can, but it was a really scary time. And it's now I'm, completely at a different place.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I laugh because Andrea never looks back at all the work that she puts in. Like never. Like
No.
so
True story.
never looks back at all
I
of
think
this.
I haven't done enough. And
Yeah. She's like, oh, I have so much still left to accomplish. And I'm like, bro, do you realize how much you've actually done so far? Right. Like she doesn't take the time to kind of like revel in the success of that. And so when each of you were talking about different things, we were all working with each other in different levels. None of you were actually working together yet. I don't think.
No.
I know Andrea and Irina knew each other because of the conferences, but didn't necessarily actually have the profound bond that I think the four of us have at this point. Like at this point, these are my ride or dies, right? Like these are, I can't live without them, right? And so
true.
Peggy, I remember us having a conversation about in July when you did my headshots about you wanting to do this corporate thing, but you don't know, and you feel like somebody else will run it, and you're just not gonna, like just kind of it's still distant and still not me and still separate from who I am. And so coming into the conference, I think we were coming into another conference season. You're like, yeah, I'll just keep doing these things with you. It's fine. And Irina, I had gave her a taste of what it was to do. Actually, after the first conference, Irina was doing all of this public speaking about helping people get wealthy and helping people get healthy, which is your true wealth, let's be honest. And but hadn't had anything to push people to in order to purchase. And I remember her having a conversation with her, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm getting ready to start this marketing class so that I can market better." And I was like, "Okay, so what are you marketing?" And she's like, "Well, I don't know yet." And I'm like, "Oh no!" And so that was when I like grabbed her and was like, "Sit down, we're gonna figure it out." And so I think at this point in time, she was just kind of starting that marketing course with that really quick idea that we had sat down and worked through that one day. And we were still, and of course, Andrea and I were still 8 hours a day on Zoom together at this point. In the pandemic, she was the original incubator, guys. So those of you who know about the incubator, it was literally how her and I built both of the things simultaneously at the same time. And so we were still spending so much time together that our parents, our children,
Parents,
our
our
children,
family. We're like,
I think during the pandemic that's accurate as well.
yeah,
Children,
our
parents, it was just
children and our husbands were like, "You two are literally the same person." They were like, "Hey, Andrea, so mom, can you?" Or, "Hey, Monica, so hey." It's like,
or Monica, what do you think of this? Does this look good? Like,
right. I
and then
became
they'd walk out and we'd be like, it was so fun. I mean,
yeah, so it was just a very different time for us. But anyway, so I just wanted to kind of reflect a little bit because, it has been a year and so much has happened in our lives. And if you're watching this, I would love to know what has happened in your life over the past year from this September, from last September, and help us understand your brand story a little bit and kind of diving into like where you've come from. Because that is really the first step of crafting that brand story, right? Is really understanding where you come from so you can walk people up to where you are now. So with that, it's time for us to kind of get motivated. And we do these question things so we can keep the conversation going. And so the question that we're talking about for Get Motivated is, why is understanding your own brand story so important? I want to start with Peggy this time.
your brand story. I think some businesses don't take the time to tell the story and or even think of the story for themselves, and your story is what's going to connect you to your people. That's what's going to give them something to relate to, give them something to be inspired by, something to connect with. So it's really important that you take the time to write your story. And because when I got the questions, I was like, you know what? I need to sit down and really work on rewriting my brand story and really focusing, because your brand story is something that's, you work on, you say it over and over and you continue to build on. It's not a one and done. It's your story, it's your journey. And I think that this was a wake up call when I got these questions. I was like, I think I'm going to take some time to really rewrite or rethink about what my story is.
Oh yeah, Andrea.
yep. That was all the conversation, all that. Plus, I really appreciate this question today because, to your point, Monica, calling me out about not reflecting and taking time to realize where I've gone, it really was in this conversation, a really artful conversation yesterday, that I'm telling my story, and all of us very much live our story in our business. Like, I think if you come into the MinkLife universe, you will find that everyone sort of leans into their unique zone of knowing, genius, whatever, and really have either had some reason to be this way or launch into their business because it's their passion based on a past experience or something like that. And I had never, I had intellectually. But for the first time yesterday, believe it or not, I really saw, as I was weaving the story of how my business changed and morphed, and how my business was always a reflection of me responding to a question I couldn't answer or something I really wanted to know. And so I knew my brand story. I just guess really using that as a beacon of attraction was really the thing that hit me yesterday when I was talking to this woman on her podcast, and we were just talking about all sorts of things and inspiration. But the brand story really did come to life, and we really did hone in on that for the audience. And in doing, it made me hone in on my own in a very how do you primal way almost. I was like, wow. And like today, it's like reminding me, the universe is reminding me of all of the things that I've accomplished in a year, because today's topic is again about brand story and originating and like working in that place of passion that doesn't even feel like work. To Monica's point, I don't think I ever thought, oh, I'm working hard, because I guess I equate work with working hard, but I was like doing things I like, talking about things I like to do, helping people with things that, really matter to me that they get right. So, yeah, digging into your brand story and being able to articulate it, to Peggy's point, writing it down. This woman made me write down a lot of things to get ready for that interview. So I'm very prepared for today. So I know it's rambly, but it is so important to know thyself. So, that leads back to the work I do. It's like really, knowing yourself on so many levels so that you just show up in your excellence, right? And so that's what knowing your brand story is so important.
Irina?
Well, it's, I cannot add too much to what is already told, because this is really the most important thing to understand why we are doing what we are doing, right? And interestingly, to me, it came a little bit like in the reverse order. So I was going, and as Monica mentioned already, not knowing exactly what I am offering. I know that I can offer a lot, but a lot, it means nothing. So I need to somehow focus it to more tangible, definition. And the name for my brand came to me kind of like out of a lot of thinking, but without, it just came. And I thought, okay, this is the name. But then it took a little bit of time for me to process it. Why did it come to me? And it really resonated with all the points that are important for me. And now when all dots are connected for me it's much easier to speak about what my brand is about. I don't have to scratch my head. I don't have to look for words. It's all coming out of me because I I felt it, and it's really what I am about. And it's so important because it's much easier to speak about what you are doing when you know why you are doing that.
Mhm.
Something like this.
You said I didn't have much to add to that. Mm.
I know. That was
But so what's funny is, so when I meet a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs, and they hate selling, right? And we all kind of hate selling. Um, but when you really kind of sit down and do what Irina did and kind of explain why each of the things are the way that they are, you get an opportunity to sell without feeling like you're selling, right? And so the brand story is that ability for you to walk the potential client or your clients on that journey with you, for them to buy in, for them to say, oh, wow, you're really passionate. I can see the passion. I can see why you do this. I want some of that passion. I want to have the results you're looking for. I want to help you win by helping me win, right? And so when you can craft a really good brand story and you can kind of lean into the storytelling of how you came into existence to solve the problem that you solve, it really helps people buy into it. And a lot of the times we run from it, right? We run from the actual pain of what got us to the point of being able to create a solution for ourselves and for others. And so that authenticity in that brand story has to be there, and the vulnerability has to be there. Think about when you're looking at a superhero movie, right? They never just come and save the day and that's it. The movie's over. Here's a problem. They solved it, done, right? But that pain of like failing at it for the first time, and then once you failed at it, then you can then they like learn the lessons, and then they take those lessons and they use them for a triumphant win, right? Like all of us have those same stories, and a lot of the times we don't even realize that that is how we got to this point. But when we can lean into that, and when we can lean into our own story, the pain and the valleys and the depths that we had went to, and we share that, then our clients and our potential clients can come along on that journey with us. So when we say, and now I have a solution, they're like, all right, well, let's try it, right? And they can really kind of buy into the whole thing. So that is one of the reasons why brand story is so really important. It's just really kind of taking them along on that journey. But also, like Andrea was saying, reminding them of of the journey, reminding yourself of that journey as well, and clarifying what it is that you're trying to do with that. And like Irina was saying, and really just kind of making sure that people know where you're coming from, like Peggy was saying. So love this. What's funny is, so usually we have a segment where we kind of ask different people to come on, and we ask them to, you know, get inspired with us by, oops, sorry about that, by staying inspired by sharing their entrepreneurial journey. And I kind of want to actually share the story behind the story of entrepreneurial journey. Uh, so what the whole reason why we had decided that we were going to do this show was because, one, we wanted to be more visible about what was happening in our world. Andrea and I were having a very real conversation of like, yeah, when people come and hang out with us, they love hanging out with us, but how do we get people to hang out with us that aren't people who know us, right? And so we had kind of decided that we were going to actually hang out publicly for people to join us along. So that's really kind of one of the main factors of why the show came into existence in the first place. But another reason was because we had so many conversations with individuals who had came into their business, and uh, the story behind they came into the business was actually the most interesting part about who they were. And one of our main tenets that both Andrea and I had was that we are networkers. That was how we met. We met networking and creating community. That was what we shared. That was the company that we came into with Team Referral Network. And so when we were uh, kind of kind of really rounding out what MinkLife Motivation was going to do, one of the main components was like creating this affiliate program or in a strategic partner program where we could like show people like, okay, here's the plan. Now here's somebody who can help you execute that plan. And I was struggling with like, how do I add that value to that strategic partner so that they could actually get seen, right? Because I'm not being seen. Like, we're still trying to figure out how to be seen. So how can we do that? And so when we were formulating this show and we were talking through it with Alana, and I was like, I think I want to do an entrepreneur's journey, because every entrepreneur comes to entrepreneurship in a different way, and there's always some sort of like drama to this state, to the journey. There's always somewhere like it's like their job sucked, or they got ill, or someone in their family got ill, or someone passed. Like there's always this real dramatic element to it, and I was like, what better way to sit around and and kind of be public in these spaces than to hear the journeys and then to respond to them directly, like, oh my gosh, that happened, and then what, and like share. And so the entrepreneurial journey came from that, and it has been one of the most interesting things I have ever done. And archived and have videos of all of these really amazing journeys. And so that is actually the story of how the entrepreneurial journey came to be anything. But what it has also done, it's actually galvanized my thought in really kind of like, how do I make that entrepreneur's journey smoother, right? How do I make it less traumatic to go from a regular job to having being an entrepreneur. And so it is actually, in hearing those stories over and over again, has actually kind of morphed the business itself in support of it in so many ways. Andre, did you have any of the
No,
stories?
I, I think when we were one like, oh, wouldn't it be great too? I'm like, yeah, it'd be great. Yeah, that's always me. Like, that'd be great. Figure out how to do it, right?
Mhm.
So I think I love that adrenaline of the activity. I think though, as we really galvanized people, like in our first conference, we called it the new normal. And boy, did we not know what we didn't know. Like when I think back to the name of that first conference, the new normal, and we were
Mhm.
just really like, let's get together, let's talk it out, let's talk about what life will be like. And here we are now, and we I know I enjoyed my ability to talk to people in the UK or wherever now. Like our world got so much bigger, and it was so fun bringing people into, where are you at again? Like, you're calling from where? So that entrepreneur, like the different parts of this particular show got us to go, look at our new friend, and this is who we're hanging with. So people are like, why are they hanging out with you? Good you asked. Like you said, it was really a nice way to share the wealth, like that networking wealth that of course brought you and I together. And so
Yeah.
those stories have been motivating, galvanizing, not just for us. I think it was another way for us to bring people together, like we did from that new normal concept, that not problem, like was, I guess, a problem we were compelled to solve in any way we could, has
Mhm.
birthed so many different things. And getting to know humans has been fundamental.
Yes.
So those has been the like bottom tone that all tones are based on. It just is the fundamental. It's the home base, and so
Yeah. I
come
was talking.
on in. We want to feature you.
Yeah, I was talking to some of our team people, and what's funny is, so Peggy and I know each other from networking, and that was actually how we came into existence. And Peggy, were you trying to? You were getting ready to share something?
I was going to share something, but I'll keep my mouth
No,
shut.
go for it. Go for it.
I just wanted to add something that I don't know if you guys, I think you realize it, but I don't know if you've ever like verbalized it. We live in, America. We've gone through so much turmoil, and so much just ugliness in the past several
Oh yeah.
years. And one of the things that things like this do is it opens our eyes to humans. And we realize that my friends in South Africa, my friends in Australia, my friends in the UK, we are all doing the same thing. We all have the same fears, we all have the same struggles, we all want to live a happy, prosperous, healthy, life. And it just it makes our world, so much more intimate, where we just can see humans as humans and understand and respect each other's differences, and realize that everyone's differences and their different cultures just make us better. Like, it just makes us more of a full human
Richer life. Yeah.
and everything. And this, not just the show, but the workshops, the conferences, all the things, the incubator. I work in my office, I work in the incubator with people from South Africa, from people from Australia, from
Yeah.
people from the UK, and we're just doing our daily work, and we're brainstorming and bouncing ideas off of each other.
Mhm.
And that's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, what's hilarious is those so hearing those journeys and doing all of these activities made me really kind of realize how far from the mark I was originally when I was conceptualizing what my next steps were.
Yeah.
Right? I was like so far off the mark. I was way over here, and like the mark is like right here. It was like in Peggy's spot. It was like
Yeah.
over here, and I was like over there, right? But what it did was it brought those together,
Togetherness.
togetherness, right? It brought it together because one, it really gave us an opportunity to be in touch with what we need. We need the connectivity, right? We need the connectivity. And it doesn't need to just be people in our backyard. It needs to be people who resonate and vibe with who we are. And so this whole global community that we have built collectively, because every person on the screen right now was had a very specific kind of like ramp up into what Mink Life, the Mink Life universe is what we affectionately call it, right? What it come to existence is because of all of the people that have come and contributed and said their two pieces. And when I start telling people the story of what we did over the last year, they go, "What? You did what?" But that was a heck of a year. And I was like, "Yeah," and remodeled my house at the same time, and also, like supported my mother-in-law and this and that and the other. But it would the ability to tell that story, right, and the ability to tell people kind of what the journey has been for us, and sharing other people's journey too, has only kind of deepened the fabric of what we are and who I am as a person today. Irina, did you want to share anything about all of this?
Well, the story behind the story I didn't know, so it's kind of like I am one of the participants, but I am also one of the people who is watching it with interest here. But the fact that what you had already created by the time when I joined the MinkLife universe, not university, that was already for me exciting enough. And I am personally very happy that my orbit ended up in this universe. So I am kind of like now I'm orbiting around you, and you have no way to get away from me. So.
We're in the magnetic pull and never to be disengaged. But you know what? I want to just shout out that we met Irina, and Irina we thought we were good networkers. And Monica and I would go, that Irina just introduced me to 20 more people. I'm like, how does she have time to do this? So she will not give credit to how many people came into that universe. If there's ever a comet that could bring things into a universe, it's Irina. Like, I know that this
Comment for sure.
like normally things fall out, but there's somebody who brings things into one. So that is, since you've been in our orbit, you have added immeasurably to the color, vitality, the group. And you're like, I didn't know about that. I'm like, yeah, you were busy just introducing people. Like, how would you know? We're like, oh, Irina sent us. Irina sent me. Irina. We're like, when did she do all of this? So I just think that's a superhuman thing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
And she's like, no, it's not. I'm like, yes, it is.
She's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I know. We're like, we do.
Yeah. And that is definitely one of her amazing things, is that she's clueless on how friggin' amazing she is.
Facts.
But we're working on that. We're working on that.
Well, speaking of, so as we kind of keep moving this party along here, as we could kind of dote on each other all day, every day, I think. What is important for us to kind of help people understand is kind of like how do you even begin to craft your brand story? And Andrea is itching to answer this question, so we'll have her go first.
It's the first step. Own it. Say, this is a recovering what? I did what? Irina and I suffer from a similar disease. Oh, that was really? So how do you begin to craft your brand story? You actually acknowledge it's your brand story. Like that you have come to this place because it is so easy for you to share this one thing that brought you to your point of origination or your point of activation into this orbit of entrepreneurship because of, for example, it's always easy for me to talk with somebody else. Irina's business started because of diabetes coming into her family. Monica, because she's a business person and she has these big dreams, and she has a lot of little things that I think pivot into her story. So it'd be really interesting to know what the official story is, since I know some whole story. But me and like having an official story, and it's okay to have an official story. As someone who's really worked through being an employee and an excellent one, being to my own boss, um, even that is part of the brand story as to why I made my business called Well-Being and Worth. I really needed to equate well-being and worth together. I needed to, in my DNA, feel this. I look at the name of my business and remember why I'm on planet Earth. Like
Mhm.
all of these things galvanize you to do your business because as the Minkubators for the lonely entrepreneur. Should call it a dating site because entrepreneurship when you're growing your business and doing things can be so um, isolating. I don't want to say lonely because you're in your work, but it's so much nicer to have that coffee date or the water cooler, things you might have taken for granted all your whole business life. So really, when you're in your brand story, having people go, that's part of your brand story, or you should really lean into this one thing that's really unique about you, only happens if you have these mirrors. Oh, I met the most brilliant, I didn't meet him, but he spoke to my team in South Africa. His name is Vusi Tembakwayo. You have to Google him. He is the most remarkable speaker. He's like the Shark Tank guy of South Africa, I think. Or that's what people try to help me understand his value in their eyes. He said something. People go, "Who are your mentors?" He says, "I have maps and I have mirrors." And
Mm.
I was like, "Ooh, what's that mean?" So it's still an M word. He says, "I have my story." I love this. He says, "But I have the maps and the mirrors to help show me the way, the mirrors to show me where I've been, where I'm going. So they're all around me. And then I have the maps, the people who have done where I think I want to go, and I get to read that map or contact the map for directions, and I still chart my own path." I was like, okay, fangirl moment, stuck like glue, sort of like I'm always going to be on your YouTube channel, because that dropped nugget reminded me so much of what we kind of do here, the map and mirror motion, why I'm so excited about my business all the time and the people that feed into it. And that should be part of my brand story. So you craft a brand story by owning all of the things that made you uniquely you, and we will love you to know all the juicy bits. That's why this show is so juicy, because we're like, really? Oh my God, I didn't know that. And I don't know about you all, but that entrepreneur story is always one of those moments where I go, wow, that is really, it touches me, or I cry, I laugh, and I know all yours, so that's why I just love you guys so much. And you got to own it first, though. You got to see it,
For
and then
sure.
have people around you who can mirror. You're doing okay, Chica, or you're doing okay, bro. Like you're in your zone. Just stay there. People will help you out. So that's why
Absolutely.
it's important to own it first. That was a long answer. Sorry.
That was a long answer, but we'll take it. Peggy? Oops. There we go.
Well, I mirrors and maps.
Right?
I'm still trying to get my breath back so that I can talk. But that is so true. What I was going to say before you just went and did all that was be honest about your story and recognize. But I think the mirrors kind of kind of are what I'm trying to say, because I know when I was working with Alana, trying to get my story and all this thing together, there were things that I would just say nonchalantly that she was like, "Wait, you did what?"
Yep.
And I was like,
Yep.
"Well, yeah." And it was sometimes the things that we take for granted that we do, and it kind of goes back to Andrea not recognizing how much work she's put into it. The things that we do really can motivate and inspire other people, and we just were like, hey, a lot of the things I've done in my life were because I've lived a lot of my life in survival mode. I'm just now coming to a point of enjoying my life. My last half of my life I get to enjoy because I had to survive, the first half. And, a lot of things that to me, it was like, well, yeah, I was always a high end photographer, but when I started doing headshots, actors didn't like my work, and I didn't know why. So I took an acting class because I had to figure out what actors needed. And that blew Alana's mind. She's like, "You did what?" And I was like, "Well, what else was I supposed to do?" And
Right.
she's like, and it's the things that, that a lot of times that we do, in a mode of survival and bettering ourselves. And like, by God, we are not going to sink. We're going to figure out how to make this work. And those are things that whoosh, for other people. So really, really like take the time to be honest with yourself, talk about your journey, and then tell somebody else your journey and see what resonates. And and see, you'll find out that you're a cooler person than you even realized, and that your business is really freaking awesome in its wholeness. And it's good because that's how people relate, but it's also good because it lets you know that, you know what, I've come a long
Oh
ways.
yeah,
Come a long ways, baby. So
for
yeah,
sure.
that's my 2 cents, Monica.
What about you? How do you begin to craft your brand story?
Okay, first of all, I have to say that it's really hard to say something after these two ladies already spoke. And I'm
Sorry.
really not envy of Monica's position, because she's supposed to, well, actually maybe yes, maybe no, because she summarizes. So, but sometimes, most of the times, she's putting something else, and that's the amount of information and knowledge and wisdom she has. So my point here: how do you begin to craft your brand story? You begin talking. You got to tell, open your mouth and let the story out, because until you keep it to yourself, you may have a great brand story in your head, but that brand is for people. It's very rarely for yourself, to keep it to yourself. So it's for people. You got to let people know that story. And from people listening to your story, you could get the reaction what Peggy just said. She told Alana something that was normal, kind of like breathing the air. You do that because this is logical. And for Alana, who is from totally different story and life experiences, it was amazing. So now Peggy knows that that may actually catch somebody's attention to my brand. And that's the only way how we could know what is valuable in our story once we let the story out. So how do you begin to craft your brand story? Let the story out. Let the story live in the air, in the ears, in the minds of other people, and then they will come back to you and will let you know what exactly was impressive, what exactly was valuable, what exactly they needed to hear, and you start collecting those facts.
So yeah, you like Irina said, it's difficult to pull all the things together when y'all say all the stuff. So thanks, but I'm going to cheat a little. So one of our users said, every time I see Monica, I always dream of being on stage together in the UK, hosting massive live events. Monica really makes people believe that they can do things. Monica is amazing. Now, I know that seems like that was very self-serving. However, the
For
belief,
sure.
right? The belief that they can do something because they see me doing something is really important. And the whole reason why you need to tell the brand story, right? Why you need to tell I was down and out and it was horrible and I didn't know what to do. And so then I did this and I did that. And you want to watch people hang on your every word, right? You want to watch their reactions to certain things and take note of it, like Irina was saying. And then if it didn't hit the way you thought it would, change up the wording a little bit, but keep the dramatics in it. Because what people want to see is they want to see themselves in you, right? And your story will give them something to see that is not only, oh, you're like me, you have problems too. But also, well, if you're like me and you have problems too, then I can definitely do what you did. And since you've already done it, I can ask you. I can ask you, Irina, how to cope or how to do it different when someone in my family is diagnosed with diabetes. And I know I can ask that without a shadow of a doubt of you, and you would be able to give me firsthand understanding of what that's like. And you would empathize with what I'm doing, but you've also, been on the other side of it. So you can tell me what I could do differently and how I can lean into that. I know for a fact that if I needed to get my headshots done and I needed to actually impact in an industry that I'm not used to being in, using those headshots. That if I talk to Peggy, she will be able to tell me because she has the information on that particular industry. If I decided, okay, guys, I'm gonna be a professional talk show host now. That's the new gig I'm going in. I know I can talk to Peggy about that, right? Because she's going to be like, okay, so here's what you need to do, and here's people you need to talk to, and all these things because she has done that, right? I know for without a shadow of a doubt, if if I had a chronic illness or if I came down with something and my body was not functioning in the way that it needed to be, that Andrea would be the person that I need to talk to because I know she's going to say, okay, well, here's the research we need to figure out, and here's the things we need to kind of understand in order for you to get the results you're looking for. Why do I know this without a shadow of a doubt? Because I've heard Irina's beautiful love story about her husband and how he swept her off her feet and traveled all over the world. And he had this idea of having a balanced life, the 360, move of the life. And he wanted that, but he lost sight of that. And these were the things he needed to do. I know that because I've heard her brand story. I know that Peggy is going to be able to help me switch industries using my headshots because she's told me the story about how she sucked as a photographer for people who were in acting and how she went in and she was like, well, I'm going to figure it out. And she took all the steps. I know that because her brand story told me that. I'm not going to read that off of a website somewhere. That's going to come from the brand story. And the same thing with Andrea. Like, I know that she had to heal all the people in her family, including herself, from all different kinds of things using food and using the ability to understand mindset and combining those two things together in order to make changes in her own life, in her family's life, and now in other people's lives. I know that without a shadow of a doubt because of the brand story. And so when people say things like this person it says user, so I'm not sure who it is, but um, when they say, I imagine myself working with you, it's not because I'm awesome, just in awesomeness, but it's because they resonate with where I came from. They know I'm regular, ordinary person who just kind of, you know, beat the odds and have decided to go in this direction because every time I do a sales pitch, I say my brand story. I say what it is that I came through and how we got to this point. And every single time people are like, I'm in for the ride. Let's do it. Let's take over the world. Right. And they're like, go, let's go, let's go, let's go. And that's why. That's exactly why. So the question is really about kind of like, how do you craft your brand story? They told you all of the things, and I'm reinforcing that is why you need to do it. So when you're crafting that brand story, you do want to do everything that they said to do, keeping in mind that the whole point is to bring them along the journey with you so that when they get to that point of having to say yes, they know you're uniquely positioned to help them because you have been through some of the same things that they have been through. You identify, you understand, you know, without a shadow of a doubt. And when you can do that in your brand story, you are legit unstoppable, absolutely unstoppable. So there you go. We are extra we are extra wordy this week. So I'm going to move us right along to uh, to actually gaining knowledge. So it's the one part where you have to actually keep it succinct, y'all, and figure out how one tip, if they got to do one thing right now to build a following using your brand story. What's the one tip?
Irina, go first. You've done it already. I mean, you should say what you've done.
Well, what I've done strange things that happen to work. But the there is an explanation. I still cannot wrap my mind around it, but there is an explanation. When you thinking about it, when you're doing it, when you're learning more, and you're trying, and you fixing what didn't work. Oops.
It's okay. You're okay.
when you when you continuously doing this, and maybe you're not an expert on particular things, but you continuing working on it and work, ask experts and ask people who already have done this part, you not guaranteed, but you are very likely to land in the convenient and lucky place that will help you to move forward. So I have a Facebook group that in half a year gained 16,000 members, plus it's already 16,500 today. Uh, the thing happened to me, I think the reason why we have it is because, first of all, I opened this. Thank you, Monica. I opened this group. I named this group correctly, very simply. I got extremely fortunate that Facebook didn't have this name reserved for anybody, so it was available. I took it. I opened it and I follow my rules that I initially set up for it, and I continuously doing this, and that brings people in. And now I have Facebook advertising it, and more people coming in, and more people are saying that they actually gain value from there. So the tip, staying consistent and being and keeping your own rules. I think this is what is helping to build that story, that brand, and to keep followers coming to you.
All
That's what
right, Peggy, what about you?
I think my one tip is to be honest. Just be honest with yourself. Write your story and all the pieces.
Oh yeah, Andrea.
She took my line.
Yay! I got picked first.
So I was I'm like, well, I don't have anything to say. But yeah, it's really know your story and share it with authenticity and the love of knowing it's going to help somebody.
Yeah, and I would say make it juicy, right? It's not, don't embellish, so don't lie. Obviously, tell the truth, but really kind of lean into the parts that suck about your story, right? The parts that sucked for you, right? That was not awesome for you, which really kind of creates that juxtaposition of why you're successful now. And that really helps people bring them along into that particular journey along with you. We did pretty good. I mean, currently the person who has the most followers in this group goes to Arena, as she is a social media
Guru.
guru.
Maven,
And
Maven.
she's an influencer, so reluctantly, which is the funniest part about it all. But I think kind of really she followed her brand story and followed her passion and made those decisions, and so that's why she has those followers, and we get to willingly support her in that, and get a little bit of her runoff nicely as well. So thank you, Irina. For guesting with us on the show. So today we have, obviously, it's time for my favorite part, which is the announcements, which means it's time to come to a close. What do we have going on in your world? Let's start with Irina, as we have put you on the spot. What do you have going on in your world?
Well, at this moment, when I have this many people in the Facebook group, I cannot serve them with the quality that I initially was planning to do, to give people attention, to give them my personal kind of like support, and to make sure that I still can do that. I opened the membership group where people could really personally working with me, pick my brain. We could strategize together. And at this time, I'm just inviting people to get in touch with me, find out how they could learn more about this membership group and see if this is something they are looking for. And I will be happy to answer all the questions and help them out.
Awesome. All right, Peggy, what you got going on besides this awesome tan from your honeymoon?
I know, right? This is more color than I've had in a really long time. Thank you for recognizing that. Just really enjoying getting back into the work mode again, getting back into. I did a couple of headshot strategy sessions this week, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe how much I missed doing this. So just really getting back and starting the helping people know how to use their headshots as one of the biggest parts of their marketing strategy, and not just taking their profile pictures as a nonchalant thing, but making it something that's impactful, useful, and going to draw their potential clients to them.
Yes. All right, Andrea, what you got going on?
Whew. Well, it's eking into the fourth quarter, and so I have two offerings that are launching in October. The first is I am bringing back the detoxification rejuvenation reset. It's time. It's a perfect thing for fall. Didn't like the way you went through the summer. You want to make sure you hit 2022 properly. Yep, you should do the detox rejuvenation reset because it's got everything. It's got food, it's got mindset, it's got all the tools you need to really dig deep for 8 weeks and revitalize and rejuvenate your life. So there's a masterclass that's happening for you to try me out, see what things are going on there. I would love to have you in it. And so I don't know where to put the link, Monica, but maybe I don't know where to put the link, but you can find it if you go to, I think it's bit.ly/thrive _WBW is the bit.ly I just made for it. So sign up. Love to see you on there. We're going to kick off October the 1st, 5 Fridays in October, so we can get out just in time for Thanksgiving. And then if you're like, oh, I just want to feel good really, really fast and want to just take a one shot, I'm doing a 30-day boot camp. It's my first one. I got the idea from a client as some feedback, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to try a 30-day boot camp. So it's programmed, daily motivations from me. You tune in Facebook, accountability group. It's fun, quick, and you'll be going into the holidays feeling great. So pick your passion or pick your pivot point and pivot with me for 2022.
Nice. And of course, we always have things happening in the Mink universe. But today, I would love to highlight not only that we do have the community with the incubator, and we also have our courses that are happening on a weekly basis. But right now, we are really diving into these conferences as the application for the Los Angeles conference is coming to a close very soon. And so we are really excited because what is next is we are looking for speakers in Australia, the UK, and Johannesburg. We have Los Angeles almost completely programmed. I'm so excited. And so if you are a dynamic speaker and are interested in being in the conference, applications are open right now. If you are interested in attending this conference, when I tell you the lineup is amazing, you are not going to want to miss this. So the passes are on sale right now. Go to nextglobalvirtualconference.com to dive into that. And just so you know, no one should tell your story better than you. Control your narrative. That is our quote from the brand story section of the brand builder in our program. So remember that you have that power to go ahead and do that. And last but not least, it is time for us to close the show. I want to give special thanks to my co-host, Andrea, Irina, and Peggy for just being ride or dies with me for this entire time. Obviously, Peggy for all the amazing headshots and stuff that you do for me. And also, remember that you have the power to activate the vision within. We will see you all so very soon. I can't wait to see you next week. Stay healthy, happy, and wealthy. And we will see you next week. Bye bye.
Bye.